Welcome back to another episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. We got a big show here for you. We have college football playoff to talk about, NFL playoffs to talk about. We got some, do we have some baseball news? I feel like we had some baseball news. Maybe we don't have some baseball news, but we have some college basketball at least to talk about. And then we'll get into our bold predictions, which is always a fun thing to see what us two galaxy-brained humans came up with for our bold predictions. But how you doing?
Be honest, never been called a galaxy-brained person before, but I'll take it. I've been called a lot worse. But doing good as I can be after my Broncos got eliminated yesterday, and a game that wasn't. Was close for about 2.5 quarters and then got away from them. But overall, happy with their season. I think it's a step in the right direction for the team and the organization as a whole. And excited about next year. Hopefully they can get Bo Nix some help in the offseason. But overall, good season. Just it's always a bummer when your team's season comes to an end, whether it's in the playoffs or if you have a good season, just miss out on the playoffs. So yeah.
Yeah, yesterday's game looked like every Dolphins-Bills game since like 2018, so it looked very familiar.
They're not fun to play against. That's for sure.
Especially in Buffalo.
Yep. I did not know, Will Lutz missed the 50-yard field goal right before going into halftime. Did you know nobody's ever made a 50-yard field goal or more in the playoffs at Buffalo?
Jeez, that's crazy. Yeah, not even a Buffalo Bill kicker?
I'm not sure about Bill, but opposition at least. So,
yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, January in Buffalo can't be the easiest spot to kick in.
No, I mean, it was 32 there yesterday. Could have been a lot worse, I guess, but still you got wind and everything. So,
yeah, the new stadium they're building will be interesting to see what kind of home field advantage they have because it looks massive compared to this one. And who knows if it'll block the wind a little more.
And it looks like it's pretty much right next door to their current stadium.
Yeah. So they've had pretty good home field advantage here the past 5 or 6 years. So looking forward to the Dolphins playing somewhere else there.
I'm sure you are. It's like me and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So, yep. But I brought some birdie or bogey with me today. Let's see if you can get on the board with your first birdie or maybe your first bogey of the year, because this is just a birdie or bogey type question. There's no pars in this one. But there's 2 quarterbacks that are tied for the most career playoff losses. Name those 2 quarterbacks.
Most career playoff losses. Obviously, quarterbacks that have been in there a ton and haven't won a whole lot. I have no clue. No clue. Don't even have a guess for you. Anyway, Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House for food, cocktails, drinks, any sort of thing you can get. 703 Main Street, Rochester, Indiana. Fantastic food at Arlington Public House.
Yeah, I'm looking up what they had over the weekend here. Let's see here. They had a Dijon salmon over the weekend. Perfectly cooked 8-ounce salmon fillet on a bed of buttery noodles, paired with tender asparagus and drizzled with a rich Dijon cream sauce. There you go. That was just at. Never mind. I thought they had the price on there. Never mind. They don't. So. Yep, but good stuff. You can never go wrong. I mean, if you want seafood, if you want chicken, if you want pork, beef, steak, whatever, they got you covered. Tacos. Go check them out. Tacos. Go check them out if you're in Rochester, Indiana, or if you live around the surrounding area around Rochester. You've never been. You're missing out. So go check them out.
The Rochester suburbs, as we call it.
You might call it that, but. What do you want to start off with, J-Man? Like you said at the top, we have a lot to discuss tonight. So
I'm good with anything. Ball's in your court.
Well, let's start with NFL playoffs, since I was kind of discussing the Broncos game. But on Saturday, we saw the Texans defend their home field by upsetting the Chargers. Justin Herbert played his worst game of the year by far.
Yes, he did.
Threw 4 picks, which I think he had only thrown 4 on the whole regular season.
3 in the regular season. He threw more on Saturday. Yeah.
And then the nightcap saw the Baltimore Ravens take care of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then yesterday, of course, the Bills took care of the Broncos, the Eagles took care of the Packers, and the Commanders went down to Tampa Bay and got the upset road victory, taking care of the Buccaneers. And tonight, got the Vikings and the Rams playing that game in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, moved from LA due to the wildfires and everything going on out there. So, what were some of your big takeaways from the wild card round of the playoffs?
Besides last night's game, it was kind of a snooze fest. Every game, no game was really all that close. I know Packers and Eagles looked close, but it wasn't that close. The most surprising thing to me was how badly the Chargers played outside of the first, half of the first quarter. Because they go down, move the ball well, then they have to kick a field goal. Then they immediately get a turnover, have to settle for another field goal, and it feels like they just couldn't replicate anything offensively. Houston's defense kind of settled in. Ton of pressure on Justin Herbert. He only has really one good receiver he's been throwing the ball to, Lad McConkey. He's a rookie. They didn't really get anything done on the ground. And I think Herbert should start getting some heat that for some reason he doesn't get the heat that other quarterbacks, especially in that draft class, have gotten with his inability, to play good in big games. I mean, he blew a 27-point lead in Jacksonville, his first playoff game he played, and then throws 4 picks on Saturday. All the physical tools in the world, strong arm, athletic, 6'5", 6'6". He just doesn't do the little things right when it comes to quarterbacking. There's very little touch when he goes to throw a ball. His accuracy is way off. He doesn't even throw a catchable ball that much either, as far as, perfect spiral, which seems like such a tiny thing.
Hey, Peyton never threw very good spirals.
He didn't, but he also didn't throw it 100 miles an hour like Herbert does.
Oh, right.
So it made it a little easier for Peyton to complete passes. But, he looked bad. Harbaugh did a fantastic job there, taking over for Brandon Staley, who it seemed like they would lose every single one-score game because he'd make some mind-numbingly stupid decision. And so I think the Chargers will be good moving forward. Obviously, it's tough to tell in the NFL. You can't really plan. I mean, you can plan for the future. But Houston, they look pretty solid as winning that game. CJ Stroud looked terrible early, and then he really turned it on. Played pretty well final 3 quarters or so. And then I don't think I watched a single second of the final or the late game on Saturday. Derrick Henry ran all over him. Lamar was awesome.
So. Ravens got a big. Russell threw a few moon balls that connected, got him kind of back in it.
Yeah.
But in the end, it didn't matter. It wasn't going to matter. The Steelers really took a nosedive second half of the season. And, man, I know Tomlin gets them to the playoffs, but they have not done anything the postseason for a long, long time now.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that today. Like, it might be time for like a separation of sorts.
Yeah.
A parting of ways. So I think Tomlin's a really good football coach, but
sure,
we've seen them nosedive. They get, he always has the above 500 record, which is great. I think he's a really good football coach, but now they've lost 6 straight playoff games.
Yep.
It just doesn't seem like it's going to be getting any better. He is who he is at this point. It maybe the Dallas Cowboys kind of make a trade for him now that Mike McCarthy is gone. He seems like he'd be a fit out there in Dallas. I'd take him in Miami in a heartbeat. I mean, he's a hard-nosed, tough as nails, leader of men sort of coach that a lot of teams don't have. But, he's been in Pittsburgh how long now? 18 years, something like that.
I believe so, yeah.
He's been to 2 Super Bowls, I guess. He won 1, but that was a long time ago now. That was 16 years ago that he won that Super Bowl. So it might be time for a changing of the guard there. I know Pittsburgh doesn't change football coaches really ever. I mean, they've had 3 in their history, 4 in their history. So it might be time, and I think the talks will get louder throughout the offseason.
Well, it's going to be interesting what happens with their quarterback scenario too. I think that's the only team that Russell Wilson can probably start for right now.
Yeah.
And they're kind of in the bind. I don't think there's going to be a lot of good free agents available. They don't have great spot in the draft to take one. especially since there's only 2 first-round graded quarterbacks as of right now, Shadir Sanders and Cam Ward. They'll be long gone off the board by the time Pittsburgh's up. So I don't know. And, I was thinking about this today because, I was thinking, Broncos should be favorites to make the playoffs, I would think, again next year. But then you got to get thinking, like, man, the AFC is a lot more difficult than the NFC. Because not only do you have, Chiefs aren't going anywhere, Bills aren't going anywhere, Ravens aren't going anywhere, but then you throw in a team like Pittsburgh, who knows next year. Cincinnati was close this year. They need to stop digging themselves in the holes. Miami's got the talent to do so as long as Tua can stay healthy. The AFC South, who knows? I think the Texans are still the team there, but one of those other 3 might step up. Then the AFC West, you got the Chiefs. Of course, one division. Chargers also made the playoffs. The Broncos also made the playoffs. It's pretty crazy compared to the NFC. So you just never know.
Yeah, you would think if the Indianapolis Colts get a competent quarterback play that they'd be right there as well. The AFC is significantly tougher. There's better quarterbacks in the AFC than the NFC. It's kind of been a changing of the guard because it was the NFC had been so good recently anyway. Outside of the Chiefs and the AFC, but I was just thinking, like you were talking about Pittsburgh, and they're not in a great spot to take a quarterback. They're about at the same spot where they took Kenny Pickett, which was a disaster for the most part. But like, when's the last second or third round pick quarterback been good? Jalen Hurts has been good, but I don't know if he's good because he's in Philly or if he's actually good.
Some people make the case for Dak Prescott.
Maybe, he was a third round pick, but still, I don't really see it with him. Those are the guys that have gotten second contracts. But other than that, we've seen a whole bunch of nothing. Will Levis, Drew Lock. Those are 2 guys that pop off immediately. But yeah, it's almost like you got to be picking in the top 15 to get a solid quarterback. And then or just get lucky like San Francisco did with Brock Purdy. So,
right. Yeah, very, very true. Very true. So, and then one more thing I want to say about the Broncos. It's interesting because I don't think they're in the position they are right now as far as making the playoffs and winning 10 games without Sean Payton. But at the same time, I thought Sean coached pretty poorly down the stretch in December and yesterday. I think he needs to look himself in the mirror a little bit. Will he? Probably not because he's pretty arrogant. But just some of his game plans and his stubbornness to adjust sometimes I thought really hurt the Broncos down the stretch here at the end of the season. I mean, being aggressive out of the gate yesterday, then getting very conservative, getting into a lot of run, pass sequences, which they couldn't run the ball anyways. And he didn't want to try to run the ball all year. Then yesterday he makes a running back adjustment, takes Audric Estime out off the active roster, puts Tyler Bidet active, who was active for the first time since week 4. And you make him active in the playoffs, which he was hurt. He got hurt against the Jets, had to be taken off a stretcher. But it's just odd things like that. And like I said, it's at the top of the pod. They really got to go get some more weapons for Bo Nix. I mean, the salary cap won't be great next year, but it'll be a lot better than it was this year. Yeah. I think they'll still have $30 million on the books for Russell Wilson next year. But then the following year, they're off the hook completely. So got to think it'll be more of an attractive destination for free agents this upcoming offseason than it was this past one. So.
Yeah, with him going conservative, especially, it makes no sense considering they, did a fake punt. And then they had to end up punting anyway. But still, you throw all these chips in the basket, and then, you go run, pass, and you find yourself 3rd and 7 every single time.
3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 it seemed like every drive. And and then it didn't help Bo, and he had at least 4 drops from his wide receivers yesterday, and 2 of them would have been first downs at least. So just little mistakes you can't have when you're already an underdog playing against one of the elite teams. Right. But it proved to me while Denver could be a playoff team, they still got a ways to go to be a championship contender.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean,
they could be fishing for a new defensive coordinator. Vance Joseph has 3 different head coaching interviews. Don't know if he'll get the job, but they got to be prepared for that just in case.
It'd be interesting if he gets a job. Who would have thought after giving up 70 points just, how many games ago was that? 30-some games ago that he would be in line for a head coaching job. But
we'll see what happens. And speaking of coaching, like you mentioned earlier, Mike McCarthy out in Dallas. I thought he got a raw deal from the Cowboys. Jerry Jones waiting to do it this week. He could have probably interviewed at a few places last week.
Yeah.
And if they agreed to not agree, I guess, on a new contract. But Jerry also kind of hurt the Cowboys because the Cowboys now cannot interview anybody from the Lions staff until Lions season's over. So,
the only thing that McCarthy has going for him is only one job's been filled so far, and it was the most predictable one, and that was able to
the one that should have been filled last year with the guy who got it.
Yeah. I was reading Gerard Mayo had something in his defensive coordinator contract or whatever he was last year with New England that had him as the coach in waiting, which is why they promoted him anyway. Because
interesting.
It was something in his contract where the Patriots would have been penalized or something like that. I didn't read the whole thing. But McCarthy's been mentioned as where Bears and Saints is a potential. He'd be the boringest hire of the offseason. Whoever hires him, which he seems like a Chicago Bear type of hire. And I don't think the Bears fans would be happy at all. I think they
won't be happy unless they get Ben Johnson.
That is true. I think it's kind of Ben Johnson or bust for Bears fans to be happy. But as far as Dallas goes, it'll be interesting. Dion?
Yeah, I don't know. He says he's only going to go somewhere where he can coach both of his sons.
Well, Bill Belichick will be a head coach for a month at North Carolina before taking the Cowboys job.
It sounds like Bill's camp was a little upset that this all came out today because they tried to do back channels and it sounded like the Cowboys weren't going to make a move. So he went on to the college ranks. I think he's stuck in Chapel Hill.
I just don't see him playing this whole college sports game. He might be there a year and then be back.
Yeah. That's why I don't see him bailing on him right now. I mean, that would be.
I could 100% see Bill Belichick bailing on North Carolina right now. Incredibly risky hire by them, for one. We haven't even gotten into that. But yeah, I mean, Raiders and Ben Johnson have picked up some steam, which is pretty surprising. Because that kind of came out of nowhere a few days ago. It could just be his agent kind of.
Yeah, what I was hearing yesterday was Ben Johnson's their A and then Pete Carroll's their fallback.
Yeah. It seems like Ben Johnson would want to go to a team like the Bears that has, on paper anyway, good weapons. And the Raiders don't have anything. They have nothing. They'd be starting over. And maybe that's an attractive thing to Ben Johnson. He can handpick his quarterback. He can handpick his sort of stuff. And Raiders fired their GM as well. So who knows what that's going to look like here.
Again.
Yeah. This guy after 2 years.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. And, Dion supposedly floated it out there that he was interested in the Raiders job, but it sounds like the Raiders aren't real interested in him. So, but that whole state of Colorado is ready to hate him if he leaves.
There was only one way the Dion show was going to end in Colorado, and it was going to be poorly. So we'll see how that all shakes out eventually. It might not be this year, but it's gonna happen eventually.
What do you think about the rumors? I don't see him leaving, but what do you think about the rumors that the Bears want to interview Marcus Freeman?
I don't see him leaving either. And it's smart for him to go and interview. I mean, it gets him interview practice if he wants to be an NFL head coach.
Especially if he does win national title. What else you got to do there?
Especially that. Yeah, like what else do you want from me here, Notre Dame? It seems like you can become a legend in college athletics, especially as a head coach. You're with the Bears 3 years, you don't make the playoffs, you're gone, and then you're having to go back. So I think the Notre Dame football is a better job than the Chicago Bears. It's a better job than the majority of NFL teams, I would say. So, but if he wants to coach in the NFL, it's probably significantly easier not having to deal with all the, crap in the NCAA now. And we've seen
free agency in the NFL is easier than the free agency in college football.
Significantly, because once you sign a guy to a contract, he's there.
You're stuck. Yeah,
he's there. You don't have to worry about re-recruiting him every single year.
I mean, they could sit out, I guess, but then they get penalized. So
so it's significantly easier being a head coach in the NFL, I would say. I don't see it happening. The Bears have requested interviews with about 70 people. I'm surprised I haven't
too many.
requests.
Too many.
Yeah,
well, you ripped Kevin Warren too much over the years to get an interview. So
Kevin Warren's the one running this show too.
I know.
It's a pathetic thing.
Isn't that scary?
It's scary. Yeah, he has no clue what he's doing. No clue. Bears fans were pumped when they hired him, and I'm thinking, like, why? Why? He was one of the worst commissioners in college sports.
Yeah.
And he's bungling the whole, stadium thing in Chicago. Bears fans can't stand him, and now there were reports that Warren couldn't stand Jim Harbaugh when Harbaugh was at Michigan, and that's a big reason why they didn't hire him last offseason. So it's just that organization. For one, they need to sell. The McCaskies need to sell, and I don't think they'll get any better until they do sell the McCaskies. So they've again a ton of talent on offense on paper, but you have a bunch of buffoons running the show, including Ryan Poles. Ryan Poles is a buffoon. For one, I was reading the other day how he hired Matt Eberflus when the Colts were likely going to fire Matt, and he wasn't a head coaching candidate anywhere else. Yet for some reason, Poles hired him like the second day he was on the job or something like that. They need to clean house, but they won't. Again, they're saddling a head coach with a GM once again. And next time when they fire Poles next offseason, they'll be saddling a GM with a head coach.
Yep. You got it.
Never-ending cycle.
You got it. So looking ahead to the divisional games, Texans at Chiefs. Who do you like?
Chiefs large.
Yeah. It was close on Christmas Day, but I don't think it's going to be close.
No.
This time around.
Not in the playoffs. I think it'll be rough. It'll be tough.
Was that Christmas Day they played? I think it was.
We had Steelers and Chiefs on Christmas Day.
Yep, it was the Saturday before.
Yeah. It was around the holidays, I remember.
Because, Tank Dell got crushed. Yeah, so I think the Chiefs win as well. And then they'll be waiting the winner of the Ravens-Bills. What's the Saturday night game? What is the Saturday night game? Oh, the Saturday night game is the Eagles, Commanders and Eagles. Commanders at Eagles. So you liking that one?
Commanders play the Lions, don't they?
Nope. Yep, you're right. So it's the winner of tonight's game at the Eagles.
And that's Sunday. I imagine it's Sunday since they're playing on a Monday night.
I'm bringing up the schedule. I'm trying to do off the top of my head.
It's got to be Sunday if they're playing tonight.
Let's see here. I'm probably going to... Yeah, you're right. It's Commanders at Lions Saturday night.
Give me the Lions, but I think it's closer than people will think.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
I think because the Lions are the 1 seed, they come out tight. Which is, it'd be normal to do that. You have a week off. First, time they've been a 1 seed in ever. And Dan Campbell's teams don't play tight, though. So maybe he'll break through that. But I could see them starting off a little sluggish and it'd be close. And then they kind of take control late. But,
you don't want to be in a tight game late with Washington. It's probably not going to end well for you.
Yeah, they've Dan Quinn's done a great job there.
Yeah, he has. I like the Lions as well. I agree with mostly everything you said. Lions in a close one. Okay, and then Saturday would be the winner of tonight's game, the Vikings and the Rams. Are you still sticking with the you picked the Vikings, I think, last week. I picked the Rams.
Did I? Anyway, this will be the J-Man's Book of Prediction of the Week. I'm going to choose this game that is tonight. I think the Rams will win tonight. I think this whole, wildfire thing will bring the team together. They'll come out and play hot in a different stadium. We've seen things like this happen where it brings a team together and they just come out balls to the wall. And I think the Rams win tonight in a close one. And
the Rams are more familiar with this stadium. They play there every year because it's an interdivision rival. That's why they requested to be in the away team's locker room.
Interesting.
Said they're used to it. So,
nice. J-Man's Book of Prediction of the Week brought to you by Travis Watchering, Insurance Agency for Life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. Book it.
So, we're both going with the Rams, so it'd be Rams at Eagles then on Sunday.
Give me the Eagles. I'll be rooting for the Rams, though, pretty hard because I cannot stand the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're boring, but they win. So, give me the Rams. Or give me the Eagles, sorry.
I'll take the Rams. I'll be different. I'll take the Rams, and they get hot. And then you got the man that'd make for great TV. Stafford going back to Ford Field in the biggest game in Lions history.
Yeah, that'd be a fascinating.
That'd be something. And then Ravens at Bills. The losing quarterback is going to get a lot of heat from the media about not being able to get over the hump.
Man, this is the toughest game to pick because I think it's a coin flip. Regardless of where it's played, I think it's a coin flip. Both quarterbacks are due. Lamar is especially due to get to an AFC title game. I don't think Josh Allen's been to an AFC title either because that really good game they played was a divisional round. Where
last year's was, yeah.
With that being said, I like Baltimore. I think Lamar and Baltimore gets it done. I think their ability to run the ball, ball control. So I'm taking Baltimore by 3. I think it'll come down to a Justin Tucker kick, and hopefully he's better on Sunday than he's been in the regular season.
Yeah, he's been disappointment for sure. I'm taking the Bills. Just to differ from you, but I agree. I think it's the best matchup on paper by far. It should be an exciting one. It's the last game of the weekend. It's the Sunday night game at 6:00. So, and we all get to hear Tony Romo drool when he talks about Josh Allen some more.
He's so bad. The 2 highest paid color guys in football are the bottom 2 or 3. Tom Brady's terrible. Tony Romo is real bad. Greg Olsen should have never lost his job in favor of Tom Brady for one, because Olsen's fantastic. I think Trent Green's a lot better than Tony Romo. I think Kevin Harlan and Trent Green are the best duo on CBS anyway, even though they're the number 3 team. But anyway.
My dad's telling me that Josh Allen went to the AFC Championship the year before. 13 second game. I don't think he's right.
I think that was the divisional round.
I think because I think they beat the Bengals.
Yeah,
at home, 17-10.
2 years ago, the Bengals went into Buffalo and beat the Bills.
Yeah,
in the wild card round. I don't remember which round it was, but yeah, I'm pretty sure the 13-second game was a divisional round game.
Yep, I'm pretty sure it was
the year the Bengals went into KC, right?
That was the 2021 season. The 22, playoffs were played in 22. Yeah,
I'll go look it up.
Then the Bengals lost to the Rams, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because
I remember thinking there's not going to be a better game than that, and we're only in the divisional round.
Last year the Chiefs beat the Ravens in the AFC Championship. Year before, I'm pretty sure Chiefs beat the Bengals. Year before that, the Bengals beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Bills have not been to a conference championship game since '93 when they ended up losing the Super Bowl. So that was a divisional round. They've lost in the divisional round the past 3 years. Oh, no. They lost in the conference championship game in 2020 to the Chiefs 38-24. It was not the 13-second game, though. So we were a little off. But, they were in front of only 16,000 fans in Arrowhead during the COVID. January 24th, 2021. So they have been to a conference championship game since then.
Man, that would have been good. I couldn't even tell you who was in the NFC championship that year. The Buccaneers and somebody.
It's been a blur.
Huh. Yep. So, we'll be back here next Monday to recap it all. So,
hopefully remember a little better.
Week. It's definitely a Monday tonight. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Do you want to get educated before we get any further?
I really need it. I mean, look at my performance tonight. I need it.
The third NBA All-Star game was played in 1953 at Allen County Coliseum in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Who was the MVP of that game?
Was it George Mikan?
It was George Mikan. You nailed it. You've looked at this already.
I'm pretty sure I've read that before somewhere. Yeah. I did not look it up.
I think he's the only guy I could name from like the early 50s. Is George Mikan.
Were you good at the Mikan drill?
I heard of the Mikan drill, but I got cut from the 6th grade team, so I'm going to tell you no. I'm just going to assume I was bad at the Mikan drill, whatever that is. On this day in 1962, Philadelphia center Wilt Chamberlain scored 73 points in the Warriors 115-117 win over the Chicago Packers. Is that a thing? Chicago Packers? At the time, most points scored in an NBA regulation game. Chicago Packers, is that an NBA?
And he still has the most points scored in regulation NBA game with 100.
The Chicago Packers turned into the Washington Wizards. Couldn't have told you that. Could not have told you that. There's still not a single video shred of evidence that Wilt actually scored 100 either.
He's got a piece of paper that says 100.
Yeah, that's obviously good enough. On this day in a lot of NBA All-Star games, on this day in 1974 Super Bowl 8, who won?
Oh boy, was that the Cowboys over Steelers?
It was not. It was the Miami Dolphins over the Minnesota Vikings, their second in a row. Who was MVP for the Dolphins?
Zonka?
It was Zonka, Larry Zonka. On this day in 1985, 99-year-old Otto Boucher from Switzerland became the oldest man to record a hole-in-one.
Wow, good for Otto.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He was automatic that day.
That was terrible, but also good at the same time. 1985, playing in just his 436th career game, Wayne Gretzky scored his 400th career goal. That's almost a goal a game. That is.
I saw not this past weekend, last weekend. I was watching, I think it was ESPN, and they were previewing a hockey game. And Ovechkin's only was 24 goals away from passing Gretzky all time.
Wow, that's impressive.
All-time goals. Like Ovechkin looks like he's 50-some with his hair.
Yeah,
have you seen a picture of that dude lately? Yeah. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
On this day in '99, basketball superstar Michael Jordan announced his second retirement prior to the start of the lockout-shortened season.
Then he'd come back and be GM/player for the Wizards. Owner/player.
And let's see if we got one more for you. On this day in 2020, who won the national championship in college football?
2020. So 2019 was LSU. 2020, Alabama.
It was LSU, the 2019 season, but it's January, so it's 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. LSU just whacked Clemson 42-15.
Killed them. Yep. Burrow had arguably the best season any quarterbacks had. Yeah. That team was one of the best ones ever. Yeah. That was stupid. 2019 was LSU. No, you're right.
No.
Ain't it?
That's it. That's all I got.
All right. That's the On This Day segment, which is brought to you by Like It Will Be every week in 2025. Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of Texas with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or a man cave. You can see some of the recently completed projects by visiting them at Mooney Woodcrafts on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your first sign order. So get those sign orders in. They make the perfect gift for any occasion, birthday, holiday, etc. Let's stick with football. Let's stick with the playoffs. Let's go collegiate. Semifinals are over. We know what the national championship's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. Two of the most popular, two of the most hated, two of the most recognizable college football programs in all the land. Notre Dame beat Penn State in a classic that came down to the end in a field goal. Ohio State beat Texas in a game that was pretty good for a while, but kind of got out of hand towards the end of the fourth quarter.
I would say these are two schools that have more fans outside of their alumni base than any other college
100%.
Obviously, you don't know too many people that graduate from Notre Dame, so obviously they're going to have a ton of fans.
Right.
But Ohio State as well. There's a ton of fans. I mean, Ohio's a big state for one. So we've had to hear from all factions of life, and both of them are insanely obnoxious.
Oh yes,
Ohio State fans are worse, in my experience, than Notre Dame fans. I think a lot of Notre Dame fans are just happy to be there, honestly, at this point, after almost 40 years of not being there. But
they were just there back in 2012.
They were, but after they haven't won one, I guess, in the 35.
No, they haven't won one since '88.
37 years. So yeah, it was a worst case scenario for me. Dislike both very much.
Yep.
But yeah, the Notre Dame game was fantastic against Penn State. Drew Aller does what he does, and that's throw a terrible pick late. He is not a good quarterback. I've never seen it.
It was the announcer jinx, man. I'd be aggressive. He's thrown 50 plus touchdowns his career, only 9 picks. He won't put the ball in a bad placement.
And he did.
The ball in bad placement.
Yeah. Notre Dame, Riley Leonard's playing the best football of his career. He's running it very well. They have a really good running back, great defense there with Notre Dame. And then Ohio State, I think I would say Will Howard might be the worst quarterback they've had the past 15 years. Yeah, he's leading them to a national title game.
Oh, man, I think you're forgetting about some of those closer to the 15-year mark.
Yeah, I would say, well, Terrell Pryor was 2010. That was 15 years ago. So Pryor, and then it went to Braxton Miller, and then J.T. Barrett. Cardale Jones had a 4-game flash. Dwayne Haskins threw 50 touchdowns that one season.
Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud. Yeah. Okay.
He might be. I mean,
Kyle McCord.
Okay, he's better than Kyle McCord. Similar Kyle McCord.
Yeah,
he just has more stuff around him this year, which I don't think that's the case either. Because, I mean, they lost Marvin Harrison Jr. Anyway, the defense is nasty. Jack Sawyer coming up with a huge play. Texas, though, first and goal at the 1. First of all, like the half-yard line, going to tie the game, stuffed, and then they throw a Mike McDaniel pitch to the outside, lose 7. And then, Jack Sawyer comes up with the strip. And
that was one of the more impressive plays, not to only sack him and strip it, but to recover it yourself and run all the way.
And not just dive on it, just pick it up and run. I mean, you're a big 240-pound linebacker, too, and he didn't get caught. So, it'll be interesting. I mean, last year they played a classic game where Ohio State scored with no time remaining to win. And I think we'll see a very close game. It feels like after the Michigan loss that Ohio State is a team of destiny, but also after the Notre Dame loss to Northern Illinois. Notre Dame hasn't really played, besides the playoff game against Penn State, hasn't really played a close game. So, I think it'll be interesting. The game's next Monday, right? I wish it was Saturday.
Yes, next Monday.
I'm an old man.
It does stay. It starts like at 7, so it's better than it used to be.
I guess.
It used to start pretty late.
Still,
but they don't want to compete with the NFL.
I know. I don't blame them either. I think they were already hurt by the NFL with those Saturday games right before Christmas and the playoff. At the same time.
It's crazy though. The college football is getting over this late, January 20th.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Late. No, it's been good.
The 12-team playoff has worked out pretty well considering you have the 5 and 7 seed in. Is that who it is? 6 and 7 seed.
Ohio State was an 8.
8.
They were an 8-9 game because the 8 or 9 winner played the 1, so you'd Oregon.
And Notre Dame was the 7 because IU
7 because Indy was 10.
So it's clearly shown it's working. So the only people whining are SEC fans. That's it. Because they didn't. They lost games.
Right.
But hypothetically, they've never lost anything and should be in the national title. So.
It'll be interesting. It'll be probably a pretty good game. I'm sure I'll know some people that'll be there. I know some people that have traveled to every Notre Dame game so far in the playoffs. But like you said, it's two of my least, probably 5 college football teams. I mean, one of them is my number 2 least favorite, but the other ones, probably the top 5.
I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Top 5 school. Least favorite school. Ohio State's definitely up there.
They don't bother me in basketball too much.
No, not as bad in basketball, I guess. But
not like they used to in the Mata era.
My 1 year at Grace College, all those kids were from Ohio. And so they were massive Ohio State fans. So I really grew to have a strong distaste for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah.
But now, living in the Chicagoland, there are, I'm sure, Ohio State fans around, but I don't hear them or see them. So.
Well, Notre Dame's number 1 all time in draft picks. Ohio State's number 3. And then of active NFL rosters, they're both in the top 10 right now.
Yeah.
Players produced. So.
Yeah, and this gets people off Ryan Day's back for sure.
This will either be Notre Dame's 12th national title of all time, first since 1988, or Ohio State's 9th all time, first since 2014.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and that was that Cardale Jones.
Yep.
Didn't play. I didn't come here to play school season.
So this will be the fourth time we've seen Ohio State in the national championship in our lifetime. Second time we've seen Notre Dame, I believe.
Yeah, obviously Notre Dame got whooped by an insane Alabama team.
Yeah.
And then Ohio State. They beat they beat Oregon, right? And then I think it was Oregon that they beat that year. Yeah, because it was Marcus Mariota against Cardale.
They beat Oregon. They beat Miami back in 2002.
Beat Florida. No, they lost to Florida.
Lost to Florida 5 times and lost to LSU. I forgot about the Florida one. They got smacked by LSU with Les Miles as the coach.
Yeah, Ted Ginn ran a kickback to open the game and he got hurt. And I don't know if they scored
against Florida.
Against Florida, yeah.
That was Tebow's freshman year. Chris Leak was the senior quarterback.
That's right. Yeah.
So but I forgot about the Florida one. I was thinking LSU. So this will be the 5th time we've seen Ohio State in the championship. Interesting. So, we'll save our predictions for next Monday. So, even I think we'll agree, but you never know.
Probably. Yeah, we'll see how the vibes are a week from today.
Well, before we talk some college hoops, let's go over 5 more of our
I forgot about
25 bold predictions for 2025.
You want me to start or you want to start?
You can start.
We will have a repeat World Series winner for the first time since 2000. I think the LA Dodgers win it again, unfortunately. They're likely going to get Roki Sasaki as well. This week, it sounds like he's going to sign somewhere who is an elite Japanese level. He is an elite level Japanese prospect. Throws 102 miles an hour. So Japan is almost just like a feeder team for feeder country for the LA Dodgers. Oh, the Cubs have 2 Japanese players. But I think too talented not to at least be there again.
I went with all NFL tonight.
All right.
My first one for tonight, Aaron Rodgers has taken his last snap as he will retire this offseason.
He should. I think that's bold, though, because I think he wants to come back, but I don't know if any team will want him.
I about went bold putting him on a random team, but
Carolina Panthers.
Well, really, the team that I had in mind was Indianapolis Colts. So
they like the old ones, don't they? They like the old guys.
yes, they do.
Shohei Ohtani will not win the MVP this year. Don't ask me who's going to, because I don't know. But Shohei will not, even though he is. That's very bold because he'll be back pitching this year too. So he'll hit 60 homers and have an ERA under 2, and then he'll win it again. But will not.
And you can add a lot more insight to my next poll prediction. But I put Tyreek Hill would be traded before the start of the season.
I would say that is 50-50. So semi bold. It seems like his time in Miami is done. Doesn't seem like a great locker room guy. You go out, you pay for a diva wide receiver, you're going to get a diva wide receiver, and that's what they've gotten. And I would be very okay with him off the roster because, for one, he didn't have a great year this year anyway. His speed seems down, doesn't have great hands to begin with, and he's small. So I don't think he'll age very well. So if the Dolphins are smart, I think they'll try to trade him this offseason. The New York Mets, after signing Juan Soto to a $765 million contract, will not make the playoffs this year.
Where do I sign? That's funny. This one's not maybe too bold because I also think it's kind of 50-50 here. The Tennessee Titans will select quarterback Cam Ward with the number one overall pick.
Sounds like they like him. Yep. It's so early though. There will be some name, some name that no one's even talking about right now pop up and it'll be a top 10 pick. It happens every year, it seems like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a smart prediction right now. This is probably not very bold either, but Illinois point guard Kaspara Yakachaunis is Illinois' highest drafted player since D-Will. Haven't had too many guys drafted since D-Will. But Myers Leonard went 11th and D-Will went 3rd. And I think KJ will be somewhere in between there. He is a consensus lottery pick right now, but I've seen a lot of guys have him in the top 5 here recently. I think he'll definitely be in the top 10.
Travis Kelce will retire after the 2025 season.
Could definitely see that. Yeah, that's a good bold prediction though, because he seemed to step slow. I mean, he's 35 now, so it's gonna happen. Yeah. My last one here: 10 Big Ten teams will make the NCAA tournament. Half the league. I'm gonna go Illinois, Michigan State, Michigan, Purdue, Oregon, Wisconsin. Indiana, I got to throw in there, unfortunately. And then I also have Nebraska in there because I think they're pretty good. They had a rough week, but I think they're pretty good. Who am I missing? UCLA. I think UCLA is going to bounce back. That's my hope, anyway, that they can get in the NCAA tournament. And my last one here, I think Maryland is good enough.
No Iowa.
No, I don't think Iowa's that great. They had a good week, and maybe their big comeback win against Nebraska will propel them up. I want it to be said, though, that these teams are not part of my bold prediction.
No, just 10. Just 10. Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah.
So could be Iowa. I think Penn State's solid, too, even though they also had a rough week like Nebraska did. And they had a really weak non-conference, so they got to start getting hot and big.
Yeah.
10. Half the league.
Yep. My last one for this week, and maybe this is more just me being a fanboy and really hoping, but the Denver Broncos will win the AFC West.
That's bold.
Somebody's going to knock these dummies from Kansas City off, whether it's the Chargers or the Broncos. They won 9 straight.
Yeah, watch
somebody's got
to. Raiders hire Ben Johnson. They win 15 games next year.
You're probably right.
That'd be the worst.
That would not be fun.
Yeah.
So pretty easy, I thought, this week to come up with 5, but we'll see. We'll see next week.
I did my list. It's funny. I did my list during the Iowa-Nebraska game when Nebraska was up 15, and that's what sparked my 10 teams in the NCAA tournament. I put Nebraska in there. Then, of course, they blow that lead and lose in overtime and then get murdered yesterday at Mackey Arena, which happens a lot. But.
Yeah. Well, Purdue couldn't play much better than they did yesterday.
Yeah, they shot the lights out.
19 threes helps. CJ Cox having a career scoring performance at 23 points. So I only watched the first half. So
they're starting to get some other guys outside the top 3. It seemed like something clicked second half at Minnesota.
It was that was the first game that Matt went with his new lineup of CJ Cox and Caleb First in the lineup and Camden Heide and Miles Colvin out.
Yeah.
And it seems like the teams responded well, especially defensively. They've played really solid defense the last 4 Big Ten games.
Yeah. Rutgers, man, 2 top 5 picks, and they are just bad.
They don't have team chemistry.
Yeah, 0. And I think it's getting late there for Peichel. I mean, this is now his 10th season here, and he's only been to the tourney twice. They are currently playing right now, and they're losing to UCLA 31-28 right near halftime. But it seemed like they would be a much bigger threat. I'm sure they're probably still a scary team to play just because you have those 2 insane prospects that can go off. But they have nothing around. I mean, they had the leading scorer in college basketball last year, played at Eastern Michigan. He transferred in. He's averaging 4 points a game this year. So, yeah, this might be the season that gets Peichel fired. I think he's a good basketball coach. But
I do too. But Your Illinois Fighting Illini are an interesting team. I think they have the best Big Ten win, winning at Oregon.
Yeah.
But they arguably have the worst Big Ten loss, losing at home to USC.
Yeah. Did you know since December 1st, USC is a top 20 team in the country on KenPom?
They got smacked by IU.
They did get smacked. Well, they got smacked in the second half by IU. Illinois is not their best player.
I do know that. Yeah.
Did you know that in 11 a.m. starts Central Time, Illinois is now 1-4 under Brad Underwood at home?
I did not know that. No.
I thought that coming in, like, they never play good. It's gonna.
Do they have any more of those?
No, they have 11 a.m. It's on the road on Sunday at Michigan State, and for some reason Brad's teams played looser on the road, evident by scoring 100.
We got a big road week this week.
Big one. Yeah, they didn't play well on Saturday at all. They got out toughed, which usually doesn't happen. Didn't play all that hard. Just couldn't get anything going offensively. USC took them out of a lot of stuff they wanted to do. USC's got a lot of size too, which really hurt. I mean, their point guard Desmond Cloud just killed them, and he was good at Xavier too. But yeah, it was still a disappointing loss. But almost to the day last year, Illinois picked up a quad 3 loss at home to Maryland. And Illinois was without their best player that day as well, Terrence Shannon. USC is only one spot away from Q2, and it won't be considered nearly as bad. And somehow they only dropped, I think they dropped 4 spots in the net, but then they gained another spot. So they're still top 10 in the net. So disappointing loss. They need KJ back. They need their lottery point guard back, lottery pick point guard. But they'll be fine. I mean, they look great so far, and they just didn't play well on Saturday. Happens. And again, I think I said last week I'm still expecting growing pains too because they're so young and they haven't played together much. And here Saturday it happens. So after beating Penn State by 39 points on Wednesday, I think they came in with a heightened sense of worth, and maybe it'll be a wake up call. Probably not the worst thing in the world. It's what it is.
Got to at least split this week on the road though, right? Mm-hmm. Can't afford a 0-2 week.
Yeah. I know
if they want to stay, and I know they could theoretically lose both this week, still win the Big Ten. But theoretically, if you want to, I think it's a 4-team race. I'm not throwing Oregon in there. I think it's Purdue, Illinois, Michigan State are the 4 horses.
I think that is tier A, tier 1 in the Big Ten this year, and then there's a couple teams in tier 2 like Wisconsin and Oregon, in that tier. But yeah, I agree. They have to make up for the loss at home to USC. So that would be, winning both this week.
Yep.
Which I wouldn't even put it past them doing, because that's kind of what Underwood's team. I wouldn't want to be Indiana on Tuesday, and this could age very poorly. Both teams are coming off a loss, but Underwood's teams haven't lost 2 in a row very often, outside the Matt Meyer years or the first 2 rebuild years. But I'm sure this week or the past 2 days has not been very fun for the Illinois basketball players. They asked him today if KJ will play tomorrow, and he said, I don't know. So we'll see. A lot of people thought he'd play against USC because he was playing 5-on-5 in practice, but I guess he's having a lot of numbness in his left hand. So they need him, obviously. And I think they win. They're favored by 3.5 in Indiana. And I think that's just assuming he plays. So I think that line flips if he doesn't. And if he does play, I think they win. And if he doesn't, I think they lose. So that's my prediction for that one.
Yeah, I have no idea if Malik Renew is going to play for Indiana. Indiana needs this game. Their rest of their January is pretty much a gauntlet. And I think students are back starting today, I believe, down there. So that place will probably be rocking tomorrow night.
Yeah, and that's another factor of the USC thing. No students.
Sure.
And for whatever reason, State Farm Center is quiet when no students are there, and it was a sleepy crowd. It doesn't give any excuse as to why Illinois played like garbage, because that was an embarrassing effort on Saturday. But it was a perfect storm for a loss, if you will. Yep.
Yeah, Purdue's got the West Coast swing this week at Washington, 9:30 Wednesday night, and then at Oregon Saturday at 3:00 on NBC, not Peacock, NBC.
Oh, interesting.
So they got like 5 games on Peacock coming up though, starting next week.
I think Peacock does a pretty good job.
They do.
The picture's great. I think it's better than TV.
Most streaming services are for sports, I've noticed.
So yeah, I have no problem with Peacock, but
yeah, it's just the older generation might have trouble getting to it. But once you do it once or twice, you're pretty accustomed to it.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's going to be a good week of Big Ten games.
The full swing Big Ten play, which is never a real fun time, but it is at the same time because everything's so nerve wracking because you lose a game, you feels like the season's over.
You really do.
This week tonight we have UCLA at Rutgers. UCLA is up 3 at half. They need this, or I think this season could tank.
And talk about, I mean, you're not only playing at Jersey Mike's, which is a tough environment, as you and I have stated many times, flying clear across the country to play that game. I'll say UCLA gets it done.
Yeah, I think they get it done. I think it will be close, though. And then we have Minnesota at Maryland. Minnesota currently has a 3-point lead at halftime. This would be a miserable loss for Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland's got to get it. They've got to get it at home, especially.
Have to.
Yeah, I say they come back and get it.
Tomorrow night we have Illinois at Indiana.
I'm taking Illinois.
Yeah. With KJ, as I said, with KJ they win. Without, they probably lose. So we'll see how that goes. Ohio State at Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, give me Wisconsin. Iowa at USC.
I think the Hawkeyes on the road.
Iowa did have a good week. They could be a team that gets into the tourney convo, but they're non-convo.
You just don't want to say because you hate them.
Yeah, so I'm taking USC, especially because Illinois just lost to USC. I want to make USC look better than they probably are. Penn State at Michigan State.
Spartans, they're playing good basketball right now.
Yeah, Michigan State looks like right now probably the top team, and they look like an old Izzo type team. It stinks. Purdue at Washington.
I think Purdue gets it done, but I think it's a close one. I think it's a little scary one for them.
Yeah, Washington's not very good. Give me Purdue. Thursday night, Michigan at Minnesota.
Give me Michigan.
Give me Michigan as well. Maryland at Northwestern.
Give me with Northwestern.
Give me Northwestern. Maryland needs to win against Minnesota at home for sure. Rutgers at Nebraska.
I guess Nebraska because they're at home.
Give me Nebraska at home. Indiana at Ohio State. Tough week for Indiana too.
Yeah, give me Ohio State. I'm sorry. I just have no faith in Mike Woodson.
Give me Indiana on the road. I don't think Ohio State's all that.
You think they have a really good week if KJ doesn't play?
Who, Indiana? Yeah.
Yeah.
Iowa at UCLA.
UCLA.
Give me UCLA. Saturday, Purdue at Oregon.
I'm very scared for this game. I'm taking Purdue. I'm liking what I'm seeing right now.
We've been too similar on these picks, so I'm going to take Oregon. Oregon, though, has 4 Big Ten games already where they have been down by 4 in the final 4 minutes and found a way to come back and win. I think all 4 of their wins, actually.
They're closers.
So they find a way. Play should be rocking, too. I mean, Purdue comes to town. So Oregon in a close one. Wisconsin at USC.
Take the Badgers.
Yeah, give me Wisconsin. Illinois at Michigan State.
Sorry, Jamie, I'm taking Sparty.
Give me Sparty.
I'm giving you a split, though. I'm giving you a split.
I'd be tickled pink with a split this week. Nebraska at Maryland. 3 games for Maryland this week.
All right, Maryland, you got to take care of home court this week.
Yeah, give me Maryland. Northwestern at Michigan to round off the week.
Michigan.
Give me Michigan as well.
Birdie or bogey? There's 2 quarterbacks tied for the most career playoff losses. Who are those 2 quarterbacks?
Most career playoff losses. Is Peyton Manning one of them?
He is.
Oh man, that is shocking. Most career playoff. Jim Kelly.
Well, you got to think how many times Peyton fell short.
That's fair.
Jim Kelly's a great guess, but no.
Son of a mother. Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady.
Oh, I almost picked him, but I thought he won too much.
Peyton and Tom both 14 losses each.
Oh, that's frustrating. I should have stuck with my gut and said Tom Brady.
You should have.
Brady was almost my first guess, not Peyton. Oh, that's frustrating. Have a great week, everybody. I'll be thinking about this for 7 days.